Don't let yesterday take up too much of today. Will Rogers.
Let's talk about chicken waters. Most of us that have chickens or are just starting off, generally you get a 1 gallon water like this, and this works fine if you have 4 or 5, maybe 6 chickens. But if you have a bunch of chickens, 20, 30, you're gonna be filling these up all the time. So what I like to use is an automatic chicken water. Now the container that you use doesn't matter. I have a 55 gallon drum that catches rainwater off my chicken coop, hooked to 6 of these inside my chicken coop. So you can scale this up if you want to, but today I'm going to show you how to build just a single one. This one I'm going to use on a Bantam cage. I'll set the container on top of the cage and then mount the water inside with a hose going to it. I like using these containers. I get these at our local convenience center. I know the person that works there real well. And I like these because it has a flat side. You can use a 5 gallon bucket, but with the curvature of the 5 gallon bucket, it's hard to get the bulkhead to seal. It can be done, but you just have to work with it a little bit on it. So let's get started. The first thing you're gonna need is a drill and a drill bit. Now your drill bit needs to be 1 1/4 inch. This is a 1/2 inch NPT fitting, but the way you can check it is you can slide it right in there and there should be very little play inside of it. As long as you do that, you should be good. Your bulkhead should seal. Another thing, when you drill your hole in your bucket, you want to stay up from the bottom a little bit. You can see on these they have 2 little curves, so I just come up about a 1/2 inch above it and drill my hole there. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now and drill our hole. Okay, after you drill your hole, you want to make sure there isn't any of the shavings around the hole. So what I like to do is just take my pocket knife or a piece of sandpaper and clean it up real well. Doesn't take just a second to clean up the shavings. Make sure you have them inside and out. If there's any shavings inside it, make sure you get those too. Okay, after you've drilled your hole, you want to take your bulkhead and slide it from the inside out. Now you can take a crescent wrench and tighten these up if you need to. I've found that just tightening them hand tight works just as well. I don't have any that ever leak. If they do leak when I test it, I just come back with my hand and give it a little bit of a twist. Now the next thing you're going to need after you get your bulkhead is a nipple fitting. Now this here is a male 1/2 inch adapter. You can get these at your local plumbing store. I'll put a link on the description underneath, but as long as it screws into your bulkhead, you're good. Now, before you thread it in, I like to use just a little bit of Teflon tape. That helps keep the leaks down. You don't want to wrap it around it and wrap it around it and wrap it around it. All you need to do is go around it one time, pull it tight inside the threads, just like that, and then break it off. And then I like to take my fingers and push it down inside the threads. And then just screw it in. Here again, you can use a pair of pliers. You can use a crescent wrench on it, but I found that just tightening it hand tight works well. Okay, so that has our bucket ready. Now we need to put our pieces together to hook the hose to and to hook the water to. So the first thing you need is another nipple. We'll put a little Teflon tape on it. We'll do the same thing. We'll wrap it around one time. And then take your fingers and push it inside the threads. This is a 1/2 inch with a smooth side and a threaded side. So all this is a 1/2 inch PVC elbow. You can get it at any plumbing store. The next thing is going to be a 2 inch piece of 1/2 inch PVC. Now, when you go to put it all together, of course you want to use a little bit PVC glue, but I'm just going to push it together for now just so I can show you. So, there you have your 1/2 inch PVC. This is a 1/2 inch PVC that has a threaded nipple end on it. And that's where your water is going to go. So what I like to do is put my water on first. And the reason I do that is so that way I can line it up with the nipple. Now you have to have it lined up with a nipple because when you put these waters, when you mount these waters, they need to be perfectly level. Here again, you just want one wrap of your PVC tape and then thread it in. You want to make sure you thread this all the way down until it's tight. Okay, now I'm going to mount this on this side of my cage, so this is the direction that I want my water. So when I go to glue this, I want to make sure that this nipple and this watering cup are perfectly lined, so that way when I mount it, it's going to be level. Okay, but you can see you want them lined up as well as you can get it. Then on this back side, you take another 2-inch piece of 1/2-inch PVC, you mount it in there, and then either take a cap, or what I like to do is put a threaded piece on the end with a drain cap on it, so that way in the winter time I can drain all the waters out of these and I don't have to pull the whole thing out. I have in the past just pulled the bucket and everything out in the winter time, so that way these don't freeze, because if these freeze they will crack. And then you glue your cap on the end and there's your water. So you have room here. You can either take zip ties and zip tie it to something, you can take straps and strap it, you can mount it any way you want to mount it. Then take a piece of 1/2-inch hose. I just happen to have this clear that I got at the convenience center for free also. Black hose works the best because algae doesn't build up. You want to make sure you keep your water clean because the little valves inside these, it doesn't take much to clog them up and they'll stick and they'll drain. So now once you get your pieces put together, you just put your hoses on. You can put a clamp on here if you'd like. I found that I don't need a clamp on it. Generally, I can just push this on and it works fine. I can mount it, and then you mount your bucket up above the water so the water drains down. The first time you put water in it, you'll have to bleed the air out of it. And then you just hook your other end of your hose to that nipple and you have an automatic chicken water. If you like this video, please click like, click subscribe. Thanks for watching.